With just a laptop, internet, and lines of codes, you can create something truly from 0 to 1. Learning to code is one of the best things you can do. I learned almost 5 years ago, and when I was going through all of the tutorials to learning every concept of the first programming languages, I started with C, and then after C++, then after Java, and then data structure in C only, and then JavaScript, and then after web developments, and then after another languages like PHP, MySQL database, and all those things. But here it is something, if I could go with my past and start something, here it is what actually I'm going to be executing to learn the things faster and to become a programmer within just a couple of months. Because this was one of the old way to learn the things from the tutorials and following through the documentation, any other stuffs like online platforms like Udemy, Coursera. This was the thing I used to be following when I was learning. But this is one of the exactly old way of learning to code is and becoming programmer or software developer. But most of them will definitely quit in between, maybe not able to persistent for the next few months. Maybe they might quit within just a month. Maybe a few of them might quit within just a week. So here it is what actually I would do if I could start over from scratch to become a software developer within just a couple of months or a year or maybe 2 years. When I am in my academics of my graduation or something, I have not even done my graduation. And if you think you are not coming from the computer science background, maybe you are from any other streams, and if you're not from computer science background, you might not even completed your graduations in computer science, or you might have not done any kind of boot camp or not following any kind of courses. Definitely you would be able to learn by yourself. And this is how exactly I am going to do if I could start over and not going through the tutorials. Instead will be starting something which I will be doing from the day one to the very end to building one of the software applications for me. And I know most of them will definitely quit within a week or months or maybe after a few months, because they would be just following the old way of learning to codes and programmings. But here it is something that has come into the play with AI, which I am going to be using for the same to learn the things faster and to learn most efficiently and effectively, so that it will be having a lot of time to save for me and will be learning the things according to my interest. And this would be the way according to my own pace. So today I'm just going to cover a few of the points which is very helpful for us to be the one from scratch to become a software developer within just a year or maybe few months, according to your ability to learn the things faster. So the first one here would be what we need to learn. So here it is. Today I will be just covering this point. The first one would be what I would have to learn if I could start from scratch, and how I would learn this effectively and more efficiently to learn it more faster than ever. What would be our end goal once we are learning this process and the stuffs, so that what we are going to accomplish in the end. And the fourth one here is how much time it is going to take. Make sure you must be first realistic and be sure that this is going to be something taking this much amount of time, so that you're not going to quit halfway over there. And the fifth one is having the coding mindset. Because if you have not the kind of mindset it requires, you most probably is going to be quit in halfway or would not be able to accomplish what actually you need to do in this process to make things happen. So the first one is what actually we need to learn. So here we are going to cover few of the basic points of one programming language you could choose according to your interest. If I must have to prepare someone beginner, let's start with C language. Or if you are not going to start with C, you can start with C++ or the Java. And most of them definitely start with Python, but it is going to be one of the easier languages, so that later on if you are going to learn any other languages, because if you are going to start with the Python, you might have difficulty to learn another languages. So I must recommend someone who is complete beginner, just go with C language itself, because once you have completed this C, it would be much more easier for you and to learn another languages faster. Because once I have learned the C, it was a bit easier for me to learn even Java within just 2 months. So here in this basic, what we are going to cover is the variable and data type. What actually this variable is just a container, right, to store the data, and the data type is which kind of data we are going to store in that variable or the container. It might be integer type, it might be character type, whatever it is. That is what actually the variables and their data type is. And then we are going to cover basic of operators to get aware of, and then after we are going to cover the conditions. Here we are going to make the codes to take the decision based on some specific condition. And again then we are going to cover into the loops, how it would be possible for us to execute few of the lines of code multiple times, even a million times, so we do not have to write again and again same code. That's where it comes to the place of loops concept. And then after the function, because once we have already defined this is the lines of code which is to be executed whenever required, we just have to call that function and it will be executed. So that is actually the reusable codes. And so far if we have come into this place, then after we'll have to go with the OOPS concept. And definitely in C you are not going to find any kind of OOPS concept. You have to go with C++ or the Java, where you would find the most basic concept like the classes. Actually it is just a blueprint of defining the objects, and then we will be going with that of basic of collection, including hash map or arrays. Actually how we would be able to structure the data in such a way so that it would be beneficial for us to use it later on according to our own logic. So here is the thing which we have covered, is one of the basic things which we first have to learn in any of the languages, and this is just a basic one. There is no declaration, no generation, no something asynchronous, just the basic one which we have to first cover the concept of by learning. And so we can just say it just in time learning. According to our requirement, we will be learning it later on. So if we have already covered what actually we need to learn and how we have to learn, the second point which we are going to cover. So previously we used to go with the tutorials and learning every of the concept from the playlist, and then after going to implement the same, following the same tutorials, and if there was any kind of exercises which we needed to handle, again we will be going to practice on those exercises related to that topic itself. But here in our case we are just going to be a bit different way, because now we are living in this AI era, and this AI is going to help us a lot in this process of learning that it was not even possible for me when I learned 5 years ago this coding and programming. So what actually we need to do is we just have to go ask the AI according to your interest which AI you will prefer. I will prefer the ChatGPT, you can go with that. Go for one of the topics, ask them to make you understand what actually this concept is, and then after also ask the question if you are not able to understand them, and also ask them the exercise so that you will be doing by your own. Once you are doing the exercise, if you are not able to find the output you are expecting of, just go with that, give at least 10 to 15 minutes, try to understand them. If you are not even able to understand, just do not all copy paste into the GPT. Go for what actually, and ask the GPT what actually this error is about, and then again you are going to find out what actually the error is by yourself. Even if you are not able to understand this, then after you are going to get the answer from the GPT and what actually the error is or solution could be, and then only you have to find the solution. So before that you have to find the solution by yourself, and this is what actually going to be helpful for you. Instead of, make sure you're not going to be the one who would become a prompt engineer, asking the question and having the answer from the AI model itself, whatever the LLM is available out there. Because here you are going to become a software developer and software engineer, not the prompt engineer. So here it is, the third point is our end goal is to become the one who would learn the programs, not just the programming languages, because these are the two things which is completely different. Because learning the programming is actually telling the computer what actually needs to do, and if you are learning to program, it just simply means you are learning what to tell to the computer. And finally, most of you have already completed this basic concept of these programming languages, and now when it is coming to building something, because once you are clear enough with all of the basic concept of any of the languages, now you are going to build something around it. Because if you are not going to build something, it is kind of thing that you have been learning by seeing others doing push-ups, right? And you are just saying it is not going to be helpful for you, because you itself, you only will have to do push-ups so that it will get your muscle strengthened, right? So this is the way of learning. So you might be learning the to-do apps, which I have also started in the beginning, and then after you are going to do something like calculator, and then after some basic concept of application, and then after going to quit. You just have to find something which you definitely need a kind of problem, because when you are going to become a software developer, it is not a kind of thing that you are going to write the codes. There would be business logic which you need to handle and solve the problem. It just simply means, in one word, if I could say that what actually the software engineering do, they just solve the problem using the one of the tools, that is the code. So you have already decided that which kind of problem you are going to solve. Now accordingly, we'll have to ask from the LLM any kind of, maybe GPT, whenever you are going to stuck somewhere, so that it will be helpful for you to build up to the end. But make sure you're not going to become a prompt engineer, you're going to become a software engineer, so be aware of that itself. And once you are built, you just have to ask for the review, maybe related to security, maybe how do we scale it and make it more efficient, the code, so that now you have been thinking in terms of senior developer. Now coming to the next point, that you might be thinking that how much time it is going to take. It completely depends on you, how fast you can learn. But in general, when I started learning this coding and programming, I was not going with any kind of books, because when I first touched one of the book, it was letter C. I was completely confused. There was a lot more things too. So I just started with one of the tutorials, and now today's era, AI is also very helpful for us. If you want to go with tutorials, that is also going to be very helpful for you. If you are starting from scratch, have no such background of coding and no such experience before in computer, then definitely it is going to be one of the choice for you. And most of you might be thinking that how much time it is going to take. When I first learned the C, it took me around 5 to 6 months. But next after this, when I learned C++, it took me around 3 months. And then after Java, it took me around 2 months only. And data structure, completing all the basic, it took me around 2 months itself. So it completely depends on you, how good you are going to learn something. If you are good in maths, definitely you are going to learn it faster. If you're not good in maths, no worry, you would be able to learn these things, because all those things is based on real life problems. You are going to handle the situation based on thinking the solution for the problem which you are going to have in this journey. And yes, most of you might have learned the basic, and now you're going to be very confident enough, but you must be remember one of the rules, the Dunning-Kruger effect. So this is what actually going to tell you the reality when you are learning to become a software developer. Initially, you have a lot more confidence, because you know you have all the knowledge in programming languages. And now when you're going to build something from scratch in the real life project, your confidence might be decreased. At some point, you might be feeling like, I should quit. I'm not the one who made to become a software developer. But you need to keep going. At this certain point, you will be really becoming a software developer. And then after, it is not the end. Once you have accomplished something which you wanted to, just keep refining it, do one more functions, go to the repositories of the GitHub, find the codes, try to understand them, how they are using naming convention for the functions, so that you would also be able to implement the same while you are writing the code. And always remember, your first line is going to be one of the terrible one. Maybe hundreds of the lines is going to be very bad. But thousands of the lines of the codes which you have already written, now after then, it might be very good for you. So go ahead with the journey what you have actually started with, and definitely you will be reaching where you have started with and where your end goal is. And this is one of the amazing skills to learn to program, because if you could learn this, you would be able to build something, and you will not have to do something repeatedly. If something can be automated, you will be using your code as one of the leverage. That's very important for us. I was not even aware of these things, but later on when I spent a few of the things, or maybe it's been 3 years as a software developer, and now I realize how effective it is to become a software developer and learn these things and implement in the real life scenarios. Because I'm just going to implement the same in real life scenario, one of the problem which I have been facing, and I'm in the halfway to solve the same problem, and it is working so fast. I was not even imagining before. It was taking so much of time before. Now it is going to be taking a very little time. And in future, I'm going to mention what actually the project which I have been working for so long. It might take me maybe 3 to 4 months, and when it is going to be public, a lot of the person will get to know what actually this product is. And most of you might be thinking that how it is going to be so much helpful for me. I have no such idea for you, but once you learn this, it is one of the amazing skill which you can learn. So this is how I would learn if I could start over. And later on, if you wish, I have to make you learn something related to the industry, how they work over there as a software developer, instead of just coding and programming as a beginner, then definitely I will be coming with one of the series where I will be teaching you how to really become a software engineer and ready to become the one who will be getting any kind of industry to work with, not just in a academic level only. Because it's been 3 years and I was not even aware of that, how the industry works and how they are going to approach the coding and programmers. But now when I spent 3 years, I know that this is how exactly we are going to take advantage of becoming a software developer, and how we can also be helpful for the organization where I would be working with. So this I was not even aware of. I was thinking of coding and programming is something we have to write, but this is actually the main reason. This is just one of the tools to solving the problem of real life scenario based on the industry need and organization's needs to fulfill their solution. Thank you very much the time which you have given to yourself, and definitely we'll see you very soon. Till then, have a nice life.